if that's the option and that is the direction we were going to go instead, I would rather this show be 30 minutes of me slamming my penis in a desk drawer than having to do a show focused around that.
Part of me wants to explain to the listeners what that is. Part of me doesn't want to explain that. And part of me knows this is going to get cut anyway. So whatever I say doesn't really matter.
It's for the best if we just let this one go to the floor.
Yeah. It'll. But we'll maybe see that in an outtakes at some point in the near or far future. But in the near future, this episode of the Fairly KickAss podcast.
This episode is brought to you by Rowan's Creek Bourbon and the concept of sleep deprivation.
I think you said it perfectly, my friend.
Cheers.
Actually, yeah.
Shout out Rowan's. Rowan's, like, we make $0 from Rowan's Creek. Now I'm doing it. Rowan's Creek or anything, let's be real. But, like, that is a fucking fabulous bourbon.
It's quite good. I enjoy it.
So Rowan and Martin, give us a call.
Oh my gosh. What are we doing here? Is it already December? It's already December.
That is a truth fact, and a harsh one at that.
Chestnuts are roasting, the little boys are drumming, and we're here right in the midst of the onslaught of Christmas music.
Mariah Carey's been fed, the carcasses have been put on the porch, and we're ready to ring in the air.
What a visual. Holy shit.
Which is why we're not going to talk about any fucking Christmas music.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
No one needs that.
I hope you all don't have any Christmas albums to talk about. I look like a real dick.
0 out of 3.
Ditto.
No honorable mentions. We've said this ad nauseum before over the years. Like, Christmas music, holiday music is what it is. It is its own kind of monolithic thing. And it's not in the spirit of what we do, at least with the review episodes and with most of our episodes. So, as antagonistic as we come off, and a lot of that is fair, to be honest, like, yeah. It's its own thing. You do your Christmas music and we'll do everything else.
Yeah, that sounds right. The
problem, at least for this particular exercise, which we can get into a little later on, is that it also makes this part of the job so hard for me. But we'll get there.
And admittedly on our side of things too.
For sure. Yeah, there's a palpable dearth of just stuff, just volume altogether in November. Is there compared to, I think you see it a little bit in January, but definitely, like, compared to other months of the year, it's just not a lot of things that are released for understandable reasons. Who wants to put out an album in late November when most people are going to be either, still sleeping off the tryptophan or already entrenched in the aforementioned Christmas music?
Yeah. And I miss the days when I would, yearn for a specific album to open on Christmas morning. I kind of miss that. It was never a Christmas album that I wanted. It was like a Metallica record or something. And I feel like there's a missed opportunity for album drops in December that someone can just wait for, Yeah,
I was just going to say that as well, as it seems like the calendar empties out now because there isn't that desire to, and actually it happens in a lot of media, as I've noticed, because it used to be you would want to time everything right. So your big summer blockbuster came out on DVD, like right around Black Friday or early December, because that's what everyone would want under the tree come the end of the month. And the same thing, it does not the case anymore. And I mean, that, that's just we can go on and on about distribution changes and the influence of streaming, and that's a whole nother show.
Oh, we will actually. We're going to be diving into that just a tiny bit in one of my workups.
Oh,
interesting
enough.
I was just say it's not your number 3 write-up, because then I could literally have just handed you the baton and let you go with it, right?
That would have been absolutely perfect.
Oh, well, we tried. See, just in case anyone is completely, for some reason, still thinks we talk about what we go over what we're going to talk about on these shows, or rehearse or plan or any of that kind of garbage.
Prep. None of that. None of that. But yeah, I can jump into my number 3. We can get after this.
Yeah, go for it.
I will admit that I did write a good bit about my number 1. That's actually where the streaming semi-small discussion came into play. So I'm going to keep it somewhat light for my number 3 and number 2 just to compensate. First off, my number 3, let's talk about Australian rockers Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers. And let's specifically talk about their second full-length album called Glory. To draw from the name of one of their EPs, they're pretty good for a girl band. No, actually, fuck that. They are pretty good for a band. Actually, no, wipe that away too. They are amazing for a band. I think that's fair. I think that really helps to describe the vibe a little bit better than the EP title. Their debut full-length 2023's I Love You was fantastic. I'm pretty sure I ranked it. I didn't go and look because I don't, again, the whole planning and prep thing. But I'm pretty sure it was in my top 3 of the month that came out. Excellent album. But the sophomore release was what you want from a typical good, solid sophomore release, at least structurally. It was more polished, it was more mature, but it didn't compromise the sound. It didn't sound plastic, it didn't sound tired at all. It just was a really great album. Some songs go a bit harder on the sort of punk scale, like Mother, for instance, which was my favorite track on the album and one of my favorite tracks of the year, in fact. I mean, just listen to this chorus. Gather to the circle as we lay our hands together. His tongue is licked in fire as he throws the very first stone. But I shall not suffer a holy man's crusade. Come on. That's fucking awesome.
That's beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful. There are a few softer tracks that are kind of dotted in there as well, like Talking, for instance, for some nice balance. But yeah, it's really, really good paced, a very full sounding album, and makes me just very happy that it exists and wanting more, looking forward to their third full-length album in however many years that might be. Yeah,
Honeybee. So full disclosure, I threw that into my honorable mentions because I had a feeling you were going to be talking about it because you like the last one so much. But the couple of notes that I made on it, I just wrote that it hits like a victory lap for them. Like it's loud, it's hooky, it's very self-assured. And it's sort of them, it feels like they've outgrown the promising tag and like stepped into their power.
They're here.
They're here.
They're not going anywhere. It's awesome.
No, they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. The confidence, like you can, not that there was necessarily that was missing in
No,
I Love You.
It certainly wasn't.
Because I Love You is very loud. It's very brash in the best possible way. But yeah, it's this is just a continuation of their craft. It was a rad album.
Yeah, like you remember that thing we did? Let's do it with a little more.
Just a little bit more.
Just a little more.
That's it. My friend, was your number 3 just a little bit more than its previous iteration?
Well, I would say yes, except I didn't know the previous iteration. I had never heard of the band Glitterer until this album dropped. It's called Error, which is just a blast for me, like Glitterer, Error. I love it so much. And now I feel like I've stumbled into this world I should have been paying attention to for a while. There's something instantly magnetic about the way the record hits. It's minimal on the surface, but weirdly emotional and quietly clever. It's the kind of album where by the third track you're thinking, wait a minute, I got to start this all over again because I feel like I missed something. What hooked me right away is how tightly everything is constructed without feeling rigid. It's very loose. The songs are short, sharp, and punchy. There's like little emotional snapshots. But they each have this sense of forward motion that keeps you leaning in. The production is really stripped down in a way that's really refreshing as a 90s kid. Crunchy bass lines, driving drums, vocals that feel both detached and incredibly honest. It's like a real rough around the edges charm. But there's a real intentionality to it. Every part has a purpose. And because I wasn't carrying any expectations or baggage from previous records, the whole thing felt like opening a surprise gift I didn't know I wanted. The vocals ended up being the unexpected highlight for me. They're delivered in this slightly monotone but very introspective style that somehow makes those emotional moments hit harder. It's almost conversational, like he's half speaking, half singing, half yelling. Yes, that's 3 halves. I did the math.
Checks out.
Right. It gives the whole album sort of a raw, relatable energy. And it grows on you quickly and quietly. And before you realize what's happening, you've replayed the record twice. And for a band I had genuinely never listened to before, Error made one hell of a first impression. So without question, that was my 3rd favorite album of November.
If we were ranking the best album titles of November, Error by Glitterer, that was kind of the first thing that I noted before even listening to it. Was like, this is cool. This is going to be a good album
Right.
based on nothing but the title alone. And it was. It absolutely was. Honorable mention for me. You mentioned just the concept of a victory lap in terms of the Teen Jesus album. Error actually has a track called Victory Lap. And so it certainly is a fitting description for them as well.
It is unfortunately exactly where I got that wording. Was because
Blew up the man spot, wasn't even trying to.
yeah. Oops.
No, it fits though. It fits in both cases, I think. You know, Glitterer certainly has been around for a bit longer, with this being their 4th full length.
Yeah.
But 4th since 2019. So it certainly hasn't been like, 10 years or anything.
Right.
But yeah, this was everything you said. Absolutely spot on. Super cool album. I didn't clock the lengths of the tracks until you mentioned it, but the longest track, the album closer, Self-Sufficient Bliss for All Eternity, only 3 minutes 20. So,
And truthfully was my favorite track on the record.
Yeah, it gets in and gets out in a hurry, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Good.
It's
pick,
cool.
Dude. Yeah.
Thanks.
Hell of a pick.
Back at you. Is your number 2 also a hell of a pick?
I think so. It's one of those kind of both hard to elaborate and talk about, and also very, very easy to discuss, at least the greatness of it and the greatness of the artist specifically. In fact, I'll hand it off to her for the first little bit here in an interview with Apple Music, where she said, quote, "I promised myself I was going to make an album where I was going to finish the thought, finish the song, go all the way until the end. Motomami was minimalist. This is maximalism." Jesus Christ, Rosalia, is it ever? Is it fucking ever? This is Lux. This album is called Lux. This album is also coincidentally Lux. The vibe, the feeling, the everything about it is just big. It's just wolf. If wolf was a word, the dictionary definition would have a picture of Rosalia holding up this album on vinyl in the dictionary. Strings for days and days and days on so many of these tracks. Heavy, heavy beats like the thumping drums you'll hear in Divinize. The image of her ironing surrounded by a whole ass orchestra in the music video for Berghain. The swelling crescendo-y La Jugular. Beautiful, beautiful tracks. Most of it is not in English. None of it has to be in English. You get what's going on. You understand the emotion, you understand the feeling, and you absolutely understand how every track is so perfectly pierced by Rosalia's very extremely versatile delivery. Soft when needed, packing the power of a howitzer in certain situations, a certain kind of operatic feel in the aforementioned Berghain and in other tracks. I feel like, the old adage, like your favorite blank's favorite blank. I feel like Rosalia would be on the list of like a lot of favorite artists' favorite artist. And that was the case before Lux, and I think that case has just been strengthened on the strength of how great this album was. One of the absolute gems of the year. I know it was my number 2 album. My number 1 is also one of the gems of the year, but Lux is absolutely up there too.
I definitely feel like I missed that one then, because I kind of gave it a miss. Saw it on my list, thought about it. I think I've heard a song or two come up when I'm doing like pop playlists, and I let the whatever AI DJ nonsense actually do something. I think I've heard a song or two, but I didn't really pay attention. So that's a miss on my part.
Well, I do wonder, and I feel like I'm very behind the times with her catalog as well. From her mentioning the previous album, Motomami from 2022, being more minimalist, I do wonder if this is kind of a departure. You know, I'm assuming this is a pretty wide departure from the sound of that album, and maybe from previous albums in her catalog altogether.
Yeah, be interested to find that out too.
For sure. You know, I'm interested to find out about your number 2.
Yeah, you are. That was weird.
No, it's perfect.
Sorry, I had to update something that I said because I didn't like it. So FKA Twigs is not an artist that you can casually put on in the background for me. Nope, I'll read it the way I wrote it originally. She's someone you enter. Someone who builds worlds. I know, sorry. Someone who builds worlds so textural and so emotionally charged that you feel like you're walking through them barefoot. That I meant to be you enter her world. But that's not what I wrote.
It was excellent.
This is her second album this year. She dropped Eusexua back a little while ago, and it was a sensory overload at that point. It was glitchy, intimate, and devotional, cyber spiritual R&B, I guess is what I would describe it as. And it felt like beautifully disorienting. And I will say that the newest drop, Eusexua Afterglow, she's pushed that immersive quality even a little bit further. It feels really meticulously designed and spiritually unguarded. She's opening the door to something sacred and inviting you to stand there quietly beside her. What makes it such a standout is the way it balances tenderness and experimentation. Twigs is still very much operating in her signature space of left field pop, contemporary dance sonics, and avant R&B. But this time she adds warmth. Actual, glowing, unadorned, and then there's moments where her vocals sit right up front, direct, and then seconds later she's like stacking harmonies into these crystalline structures that feel like they're floating above your head. The production leans real heavy into tactile sounds, breathy percussion, soft synthetic hums, strings that feel like they're sighing. It's intimate, but it's not fragile. It's not cold, but it's really ambitious. Vocally, she's in peak form. She shifts effortlessly between an airy falsetto, whispered confessions, and then like rich, full tone that honestly we didn't get much of in the previous record. So it's like a new emotional register for her. Each track feels like a different facet of her voice and a new way that she's learning to inhabit her own stories. And by the time the album wraps up, you're left with this sense that she's crafted something that you have participated in. It's bold and it's endlessly replayable. I've listened to this album so many times in the last couple of weeks. It lands just behind my number 1 record, which we'll get to in a moment. But this one is absolutely my second favorite album of November.
Do you feel like, as far as the correlation, or if there is any correlation between this and Eusexua, I think February, was it that Eusexua, the first one came out?
I think so. I would have to double check that. But yes, I think so.
I'm looking. January, sorry. Yeah, late January. Like when I first saw it, and full disclosure, this was one of the first albums on my list of the month. And this is why you make a playlist as soon as you think of something and add it to the playlist, because I didn't, and I forgot that it existed. And now I'm very sad because I did enjoy Eusexua, the first, we'll call it. But yeah, how did you feel that there was any correlation, or did you feel that this was like a completely separate, different thing altogether?
Honestly, if I'm being perfectly honest, I would say I haven't had the opportunity. That's not true. I am so lost in the performance and sonic wheelhouse here that I didn't really dig into the lyrics. Musically, yes, it's very much related to what she did before. There's just we're in that same vein where it's the same, but just a little bit more and just there's just enough different that you're like, oh, she's not doing the same thing again, but it's similar enough that you're like, this is Twigs. Like, we know what we're getting, and it's cool. Lyrically, I need to do more digging because I don't know if it's like, the spiritual successor to Eusexual. I imagine it is because its title is Afterglow, but I truthfully don't know.
That was just what threw me in kind of reading some reviews of it, that it seemed to be kind of described as like its own thing, not necessarily like a continuation or like, part two. But, a lot of this comes from Pitchfork. So, there's a whole mountain of salt that we have to take that with.
Like all the salt.
Every single grain. Yeah, I'm so bummed that I missed this. I'm just as good as Eusexual was. I'm super excited, and yeah, if it's that but just a little bit better, then sign me up. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I would be interested in hearing your reaction to it then, because I know you and I have similar enough tastes, but where they differ feels like when they differ, there's a chasm. So
yeah. But also it's really interesting that this is similar to the Rosalia album. That's, it's music, but it's music as art, in a way, as pretentious as that sounds. I know it does, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of pretense, and elitism is still sexy.
It's true. It's a wise man. Knows what he's talking about.
What did you have that almost made the cut?
I mean, I had a bunch, but I'm going to narrow down my list and just talk about a few, starting with what essentially was my number 4/3B album. It wasn't a full album. It was just an EP, and that was Appaloosa from Orville Peck. An artist that has been adored by everyone that I know for so long. And I was the one, I wasn't like a miser, like, oh, fuck this Orville Peck felt. Like, it just didn't grab me until Appaloosa, and now it's grabbed me. So I am fully on board with the cowboy. 5 Sauce, 5 Seconds of Summer with Everyone's a Star. Yes, this is a boy band album. Yes, this is 2025. I get it, but it's a bit more too. It's got legit swagger. It's got some fun style. Far from my favorite album of the month, but far better than I expected it. And that coming from someone who has legitimately enjoyed 5 Sauce's work, at least some of it up until this point. It was better than expected. I think I won't go as far as calling it good, but it was an improvement. Men Without Hats, a band that I didn't expect to talk about with On the Moon. It's the group that did the Safety Dance, for those who are unaware. And this album sounds like it came from the group that did the Safety Dance. And usually that is not going to sit well with me. I'm not really a huge fan of like the more antiquated sound without any kind of modernization. This time I was. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just like a passage of time thing, but it worked. It worked really well. The tracks were fun. They were bubbly. They were upbeat. They were wonderful. So yeah, absolutely great album. And then one more that I'll touch on that it wasn't really what I needed, did not hit for me. Look, I loved the song and still do love the track $1 Million Baby by Tommy Richmond. It was one of my favorite songs of last year, but his album Worlds Apart just proves that lightning doesn't always strike twice. Like, it's not a bad album. It sounds pretty much exactly like $1 Million Baby, but there was not that spark. There wasn't that magic that really drew me into the original track. So it was just a nice reminder of what we talked about, like the same but better. This was the same but same, and it just didn't work for me.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Richmond record. It didn't make my honorable mentions for any reason, good or bad.
Yeah.
It was meh.
Yeah, super.
I can comment on the Men Without Hats record. The opening track in particular basically sounds like, it's called I Love the 80s, and it's basically the Safety Dance just run through a filter.
Yes.
And I'm here for it. I love it. It's so good. I agree with you on the Orville Peck record. Love it. There was also a sort of a cousin to the Orville Peck record. So Orville Peck has like that Roy Orbison vibe of it. It's country music, but it's not like, it's crooner country.
Yeah.
and he's brilliant. Then we had on the side of that, we had a record released by the Avett Brothers and Mike Patton together. So it's country, but with the frontman from Faith No More doing a lot of work, and it's cool. With a series of question marks behind it. I listened to it a number of times because I couldn't wrap my head around it. And I enjoy that musical challenge. I feel like I probably missed out on a couple other records because I was puzzling this one out. I think I like it. I had a lot of fun with it, for sure. Do with that.
Not the pairing you expect, at least, yeah.
No, not the pairing you'd expect. It was cool. I also had Teen Jesus and the Gene Teasers on my list. I put a couple other metal acts on here. I put Bell Witch and Aerial Ruin with the sequel to their album Stygian Bow. This is Stygian Bow Volume 2. If you want something that will swirl you into a vortex of entropy and just leave you hanging there, this is your record. It's largely instrumental. There's a lot of room for swirling. A couple of tracks that near the 20-minute mark. It's a cool, very immersive record. Actually, Zach, right up your alley. If you want, like, it's a really cool atmospheric metal record.
I listened to the first few tracks, and it wasn't that it didn't grab me. I already had some other things on the docket, so it was
Sure.
more one of those like bookmark and come back to it later, knowing that it probably wasn't going to make the top 3. But it was intriguing.
Sure. It is. And I thought maybe it would be up your alley, but if in this case, like if you needed a moment where you're like, okay, get after it. Like
Exactly.
If you need that, this ain't your record.
No, I needed to give this its due. A quick listen, it didn't feel like that was going to be enough.
Yeah. The other metal record I had on my list was Leo Rising by Danko Jones. Yes, they're still around. And yes, they're still doing Danko Jones things. They've basically become Kiss at this point. I have no problem with that. I think it's fun. It is lively, and they're just having a good time, and it's great. I also threw Finger 11 on my list with their new album Last Night on Earth. It is not early Finger 11 stuff. It's not Greatest of Blue Skies or Tip, which are fantastic albums, and I will die on that hill. But it is also not the crap that they've done since then. There's a couple of tracks on here that are really, really cool. So especially the opening track, truthfully, if you get no farther than the first track, you should try it if you like radio rock at all. And then lastly, I want to talk about the new De La Soul record, Cabin in the Sky, because how are we gonna not talk about Cabin in the Sky? There's a new De La Soul record in 2025. Is it the best album I've ever heard from them? Probably not. But it was refreshing to hear De La Soul in 2025. It made my week when that record dropped.
Yeah, the Finger 11 specifically, like I think I've been just so traumatized by hearing Paralyzer over and over and over again on our local radio that I unfairly gave it a pass based on that alone.
Well, and that's totally fair, because even their last album had like one fantastic song on it called Together Right. The rest of the album, you could let it go. It's fine. It's not great. This one had a few.
Through. Yeah.
This one was cool. I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, not all of them are going to be, not every track on an album is going to be fabulous. That's just not realistic. And the more the better. And at least you need more than one, you would hope.
Yeah. Well, and truthfully, this is a conversation we should have another time, because we don't need to take up the airwaves with this. But why couldn't every track be amazing? In a world where everything is streamed a song at a time, why not? Like, if you're not going to make every track amazing, don't drop an album. Make an EP. Put your 5 best on there and call it a day.
I do wonder if there's a sort of loss leader mentality amongst those quote unquote worst tracks. Like, we're going to get people in the door with the better tunes. They're going to just hit play. They're going to play through the whole thing. And even if they don't like every single thing that they hear, we're still getting more spins.
Yeah,
I don't like that, but I could see it.
Maybe. But it's such a 90s mentality where you're like, I've got to make an album. Like, people have to put a CD into their car and skip through the ones they don't like.
And if they don't like enough of them, they're just not going to buy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a completely different, like you said, the 90s, it's before the 80s, album album-oriented rock. Like it had its own category for the longest time. But yeah, I think we're far away from that, unfortunately.
Agreed. You know what we're not far away from?
What's that?
Hearing your number one record.
My number one record. We already heard about it, to be perfectly honest. It is the group's 10th album, is how that word works, and one that we didn't think we'd ever listen to on streaming services, understandably so, considering the raw deal that they were given. The story is much deeper than this. I won't go too much into it, but essentially their catalog was owned by Warner Music until 2017 when it was sold to Tommy Boy. Their samples weren't cleared for streaming, and furthermore, they weren't happy at all with the cut that they were to be given, so they decided to acquire their own masters and call their own shots, which is something that artists are increasingly doing more and more today, which I absolutely love. Get your own masters, get your own music, get your own bag, and cut everyone else out of the picture. It's absolutely the deal that artists deserve. And truly what a legendary catalog it is, spanning all the way back to 1989's 3 Feet High and Rising, and culminating, for the moment at least, in this month's Cabin in the Sky, my number one album of November. Of course, as Jay already mentioned, it is De La Soul, and a day when you wake up and see that a De La Soul album has dropped is a good day. Full stop, no qualifiers needed. It marks both a reunion and a goodbye of sorts. On one hand, a reunion with Prince Paul back in the producer seat for several of the tracks, where he was for De La's first 3 albums. Lots of fun, interesting anecdotes from Prince Paul from a podcast that I love called What Had Happened Was. I think I mentioned on the show before, hosted by another very, very good hip-hop artist by the name of Open Mike Eagle. Goes through season by season, talks to a different person for the entire season, and just kind of an elongated interview. Season 1 was Prince Paul, and it was absolutely fascinating listen. Would 100% recommend checking that out. And in doing so, we make $0. So you know that we actually care about what we're talking about here, just like with Roan's Creek. But, speaking of fantastic listens, this whole album was just fabulous. I totally agree that this was not De La's best, but I think that that's such a high bar to clear in 2025 or any other year that like even getting close to that is still absolutely remarkable.
Truth.
We have an intro with Giancarlo Esposito for reasons that I don't completely understand, but I'm 100% okay with. We had features ranging from Killer Mike to Swedish electronic artist Yukimi Nagano. From Q-Tip to Jay Farrow. Yeah, that Jay Farrow. He apparently does music too. And he's not terrible. He's good enough. He's serviceable. He's performing next to De La Soul. Any of us are going to sound like shit when we are next to De La in the booth. Come on. It is many, many things lyrically, but one of the main motifs is a reflection on death, particularly a reflection from those still here on those who are no longer with us, which is where we unfortunately get to our goodbye, as this is the first De La album without the contributions of one Dave Jolicoeur, better known as Trugoy the Dove, who sadly passed away in 2023 at the age of 54. Trugoy's posthumous vocals do end up in several tracks, which is wonderful, including The Package, which was one of my favorite tracks, as well as Don't Push Me, which I believe was the album closer, and one that Trugoy also got a production credit for, which I thought was a very, very cool touch. It's a bittersweet album. It's a beautiful album. It's a fresh album. It absolutely does not sound tired or old or antiquated. It absolutely is a product of its time. The samples are super on point throughout. It's a De La album. It's both everything you want and it's also everything you expect, but just at a higher level perhaps than you would expect for a band that's been doing this for, as I count on my fingers, 35, 40 years almost.
36, yeah.
They still got it. is the takeaway there. This album was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, no, I think truthfully there were only 2 things that kept it out of my top 3 that I put it into my honorable mentions instead. One, that intro track that you mentioned with Giancarlo Esposito, that is a 3-minute intro track that makes no goddamn sense. It's just a roll call.
Yeah.
Kind of. It goes on for days. It just keeps going.
It's ridiculous, but it's on the other hand, it's Gus Fring. Like, I'm not going to tell the man no.
No, well, fair enough. And then I wanted the track with Common and Slick Rick on it. I wanted a little more out of that one. I think maybe it was just high expectations, but I wanted a little more out of that. Loved NF with Black Thought.
Yeah,
killer track. Not to be confused with the Killer Mike track, which is just a few tracks earlier on the record.
I mean, talk about a dude you don't want to be next to in the booth, like Black Thought. Holy shit! Like,
right?
I don't know that he's missed like ever, and that's a long career of not missing. That was a good feature. That was a good pairing of styles as well, I thought.
Yeah, agreed. And anytime you can put Q-Tip on a track, I'm here for it.
Man, winners across the board. Like the features matter, you know. Yeah. Sometimes we've seen it time and time again. Features can kill a track, no matter how good the primary artist is. Like, if you get the wrong folks on with you, like, it's just not going to work.
Yep.
Jay, I'll tell you what did work, and I don't even have to know what the album is to know that your number one album absolutely worked.
Honestly, I'm a little surprised you didn't mention it at some point in your honorable mentions or in your top three.
What did I miss?
I'm a little surprised by it. Unless you left it off intentionally knowing that I was going to talk about it today.
I didn't leave anything off intentionally. Now I'm very scared.
You could have waited and not said that, and then maybe you could have backpedaled.
No, it's transparency here on the Fairly KickAss podcast.
All right. Portugal the Man has always been one of those bands that seems to shapeshift from album to album, never fully settling into one lane, but somehow always managing to sound like themselves. They've gone from scrappy psychedelic rockers to Grammy-winning architects of some of the strangest, catchiest alt pop of the last decade. And with their new record, Sheesh, they've pushed that reputation even farther. And honestly, it feels like they've kind of hit a new tier of weird brilliance. What really struck me on Shish is how wide the sound palette is. So every track feels like it's built from a completely different box of tools. Lush electronic shimmer on one song, raw fuzzed out guitar squalls on the next, suddenly a groove that sounds like it's wandered out of a dusty 1970s soul record and decided to stick around. It's not scattered, it's intentional. The band leans into contrast in a way that makes the whole album just feel like it's a living being. You're being pulled through a hallway of doors, and every room has its own climate control and its own color scheme. And the best part is how confidently they do it. There's no hesitation, no sense of, can we pull this off? It's just, they commit and it works. Let's talk about the vocals for a second. This is probably the most adventurous they've ever been. You still get John Gorley's unmistakable, high-floating voice, but they layer it, twist it, pair it with textures that are somewhat unexpected, and occasionally pass the mic in ways that open up the whole entire emotional range of the album. Some tracks feel intimate and fragile, and others hit with like a playful swagger that I didn't realize they missed from like of the previous song on the record. By the time the album ends, you've heard them try on 10 different outfits and somehow look great in all of them. And Shish isn't like a strong entry in their catalog. It is their catalog. Like it's like an expanded in expanded form. It's just their style, all of it, all of their styles in one package. It definitely grabbed me really hard this fall, and it is absolutely my favorite album of November.
I somehow did not know that you were such a fan of Portugal the Man. I don't know how I overlooked this very vital, critical detail.
So I saw them in New York in a dive-ass bar on the south side of New York City, like just south of Houston. So I guess that would be Soho. But that was my introduction to them. I got dragged there by a colleague, and it was amazeballs.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm a fan.
Would you say, for someone who's not as like versed with their catalog, because I feel like just from you describing it, it almost seemed like a I guess a This Is Your Life sort of vibe, like and this is from this album, and this is the feel from, you know, this other one. Would that be, is it like one of those where I would enjoy it, but like you would enjoy it more if you knew, you know, kind of the backstory?
No, it's not like that at all.
Okay.
It's so every song is, think of it like vignettes. or like little short movies. Like everything is separate and different, and you can pull apart like things like, oh, like that kind of has the same vibe as, you know, one of their previous tracks from an earlier record. But even their earlier stuff, like they jump around in styles all the time. This one just feels more like they've separated styles even more so. It's a wild ride. I think you would like it a lot because they play with genre in the same way that artists like the 1975 do, where like you don't get the same vibe from song to song. It changes pretty drastically from moment to moment.
It's really interesting to hear you specifically mention that band, because I was trying to remember the title of their 2020 album, Notes on a Conditional Form, which is the first thing that came to mind. So literally had the 1975 typed into Google right before you said the 1975, which
fun.
Makes me want to listen to the Sheesh so much more now.
So I will say, prepare yourself a little bit. Portugal the Man. So the 1975 jumping from genre to genre never really splits into things that are harsh, and Portugal the Man absolutely does.
Nice. I'm here for that for sure. Yeah. Just the juxtaposition, you know, contrast is so rare within the confines of an album. So I'm excited when we actually, whether I like it or not, just conceptually, I always dig the concept.
Yeah, you said juxtapositional, and I would go it a step further and say juxtraterrestrial. Like we're
you broke Dan just now. And me, to be fair. Like oh, I'm writing that down, so I remember that word and can use it liberally.
Under what circumstances would that word come into play?
Unclear. But I will find them, God damn it. Wherever those circumstances are.
Don't worry about it. That was the Rowans talking.
Awesome polls all the way around. I'm for being such a not shorter month, but a smaller month, and kind of butting up against Christmas releases. Like this was better than I would have expected a November to be.
It's also possible that I latched harder onto the album drops because there was so much Christmas music.
Maybe, yeah. It was like a reprieve of sorts.
Yeah. Oh, Dan, did you have a reprieve, or was it just that much harder for you to choose?
It was that much harder, even harder. To the fact that we're going to do something tonight that I have never, ever done before.
Ooh.
In almost 5 years of doing this.
Merry Christmas to us.
No. Well, I guess it depends on how much you enjoy this part of the review shows. Because you were going to hear about every goddamn song I listened to, because there were literally only 8 new entries to the charts 8 new non-Christmas re-entries to the charts this month. There are still yet aren't even new Christmas singles really charting yet. The superstorm, if you will, of Typhoon Festive and Hurricane Ophelia coming together, the power of Swift and Santa met in the middle and devastated new entries into the top 40. So I had 8 songs to listen to.
Well, that's fine. Were any of them any good? Cool.
Sorry, I just can't get over the weather report from just now. It's really just sticking with me for some reason.
I mean, it's no juxtaterrestrial, but it'll do.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to be stuck awake for at least an hour tonight after we get off, trying to put a finite definition on that word so I can, in fact, use it at some point. And I need to do it tonight because as we're recording this, we have a large, all department set of meetings tomorrow, and I need to use this as a word in some form in a breakout session.
Just completely straight-faced, no emotion, just like it's a normal everyday word.
Like I was just giving them the new buzzword, and that is what we're going to go forward.
Oh, if this catches on, if this gets hot, if this is our contribution to pop culture, to the zeitgeist, like fitting, right?
There are worse things to be remembered for.
We've done worse things to be remembered for.
I think the intro that was cut from this show would probably be the worst thing to be remembered for.
We outdo ourselves on the regular.
All right. I'm sorry. Quit stalling. Give us the marks. I get it. Start with an honorable mention because that's how we start this. And this side of the halfway mark finds me for the first time on the fence about someone that I've gushed about many times here in the past, because I feel that Megan Thee Stallion showed that she can do her own version of a 90s R&B love song, and it still sounds like her in that form. While at the same time, also throwing out a hook that sounds more mundane and repetitive than her normal roundhouse to the face than we've come to expect. So Lover Girl would slot in there at number 4. It's a lot easier to describe these positions now since there's nothing in the middle.
Yeah, it's good. Like if this was the first Megan song that I'd ever heard in my life, I'd really be feeling it. You know what I mean? I'd be like, yeah, this is fire. This is tight. And maybe that's not fair. Maybe it's grading on a curve, but yeah, I totally agree that it's not up to her usual standards.
Right.
Which are lofty, are very lofty.
That's the thing. It sounds like her. It does feel like her. There's just something that misses. And it's hard to explain.
For sure.
Moving up to number 3 and flipping it around a little bit. Let it never be said there isn't room for a classic country storytelling track in the top 40. But that's exactly what Lainey Wilson brings with her latest Somewhere Over Laredo. It hits all the right notes for a song of its ilk, a nostalgic ode to a past romance without doing too much, woe is me, my true love is gone. It's more slipping on the comfy, fuzzy sweater of reminiscing. Not really bemoaning that it's past and not giving off a level of peaked in high school energy either. I'm just trying to describe a feeling that has the layers of positives and negatives weaved in while just being comfortable at the same time. And I feel like I'm just missing the mark here. Maybe a fresh cup of coffee while sitting on the porch, absorbing an early summer sunrise in that quiet moment right before the day really begins. A moment that allows thoughts to flow, to be fully absorbed by them, that allows quiet contemplation. But the real draw is Wilson herself, whose performance allows all of that. I got a B+ in creative writing class freshman year hyperbole to come spilling out for me, while also, and at the same time, pushing your ears to wrap themselves around every note.
So I got stuck on your coffee on the porch metaphor, which is an amusing, you meant that as a positive contemplative thing, and you don't drink coffee.
I don't. No. But I have consumed enough media because most of the world does drink coffee. So that scene has been set for me.
Oh, fair enough. My read on what you just said, having not listened to the record, is that Lainey Wilson is a Folgers commercial.
I was trying not to say that because that's sort of what my brain was doing. Because that would paint it in a negative light, and it's not meant to be so. And I know that I do sunrises like normal people don't do.
Asleep?
No.
It's the best way to do them.
No. I mean, Red Bull and vodka and then right out the door. Come on.
Oh, boy. I guess this has been a show of learning for me because I learned not only that Jay really loves Portugal the Man, but I also learned that Dan really hates coffee despite the fact that I've known this man for over 20 years.
I mean, yeah, there's never really come up with our coffee. I mean, that's not completely fair. I do make fun of you for seeking out PSLs early in the season, but that's about it. That's really about it.
Yeah. I guess how would you know that someone didn't like? I guess if I offered you a coffee and you were like, no thanks. I mean, maybe you just didn't want one at that moment. Not that you just never liked it in your entire life.
The more weird thing about me is that I had a career in broadcasting for more than 20 years and never picked up coffee or amphetamines.
That is what I would have to imagine that. Yeah, great song. No.
I feel like really this is I'm just kind of like taking a crowbar to the train tracks, and that's just how I'm going to end the episode for us. So I'll try to bring it back.
No,
okay, wrap it back around because I feel like at least once a month now, I have to admit that I'm about to introduce you to a song that I never thought I would. Like, this is an artist who I just should not be saying positive things about. And here we are, it's at that point, and that artist there is David Guetta, who is joined by Teddy Swims and Tones and I for the number 2 song of the month, Gone, Gone, Gone. And for God's sake, why shouldn't we be allowed a pop song that's just plain fun to listen to? Even if the lyrics do push this one into the happy-sounding songs that aren't territory. I mean, sure, it's with the well-worn trope of a dysfunctional relationship and still missing the said significant other, but that's only one piece of the so-called puzzle here. First and foremost, and this should come as no surprise, that Teddy Swims smolders with his vocals. He's been turning in tremendous and soulful performances for the last year or two. So that shouldn't really shock anyone. But Tones and I gives him a run for his money, which after Welcome to the Madhouse, it was more than a little startling. Her vocals play perfectly off of his, and their work would fit right in on a track off of CeeLo's Lady Killer record. And there are horns. Beautifully epic horns. So major points there. But you would be hard-pressed to find any of the hallmarks of Guetta's recent production on this track. He worked up a far more original than expected blend of soul and disco and gospel into his more modern dance production. And it is actually impressive there. But once again, the vocal performances are what make this track, and it adds up to a rather pleasant surprise all around.
Yeah, dig it. Though I suppose my opinion is a little suspect because I enjoyed Madhouse.
I know. We can just move on.
Yeah.
For my dishonorable mention, I'm not yet really sure that this song deserves that moniker, but it just sits here at number 5. But we have NF and Fear. And this one falls on the opposite side of the midway point to Lover Girl, in as much as I'm on the fence about the track, and I think there's more cons than pros here. The pros are another set of introspective and heavy lyrics, which are mostly on point, but there's something about the song's second gear that doesn't feel like a second gear, and that makes it really hard to get into his flow.
I get that.
It reminds me a lot of 21 Pilots.
Kinda, yeah.
A subdued, toned down 21 Pilots. It was fine. It was fine, but
I said I wouldn't. That's why I said it just called dishonorable because it's in the slot, but I don't know if it deserves that.
Yeah, it's with 8 tracks, some of them have to be, even if they're only a point or two apart in your rankings. We have to do rankings. That's what we do. Is the rankings.
It's the whole thing. It'll live the gimmick here. Which is, again, why I have to confess, I just don't have a ton of venom for the bottom of the list, really, because, like you said, it's a shallow pool. And for the most part, not really unlistenable down there, just shallow.
Yeah.
Which brings me to number 6 and a perfectly fine cover song. It is Cody Johnson and Traveling Soldier. And Johnson, to his credit, does the Bruce Robinson song turned into one of many signature hits for the Chicks in his very throwback country style. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. It does exactly what you want it to do, and it does exactly what he wanted it to do, which was honor Veterans Day. Which is why it's not at all exciting for it to be here. It's just how these things shook out. I told you, you're going to hear about everything I listen to. Sorry. Stop listening to Mariah Carey in October and we wouldn't have this problem.
There it is. There it is. A solution laid at your feet, listeners. Tell your friends.
Please.
Yeah, it was fine. I feel like a broken record. There are so many of these tracks this month have been fine.
And on that same note, let's go ahead and just bring the not actually a bad song train into Station 7 for the second collaboration from Riley Green and Ella Langley, Don't Mind If I Do. because this also falls into that category of being exactly what it says on the tin, so to speak. It's another country ballad of longing. There's pining for an ex. There's whiskey. There's the revelation that the singers actually want to try to reconcile without actually ever stating what's keeping them apart. I mean, besides probably the non-resolution of the issues that initially drove them apart. But you know what? Why ruin a touching moment with the razor-sharp shards of shattered reality? Bad Dan. Stop it. But it's a perfectly fine song. Green sounds fine. Langley sounds great as always. It just does not deserve to be highlighted in red, but here we are. Damn you, November. Damn you.
I had to look it up because I was pretty sure I knew that song. That song's over a year old.
That's the other thing. It was released last September and it's just now making its way onto the top 40, which is interesting because it was top 40. It had it. I'm pretty sure by now it's had its run through country radio, but it's just now getting pop hits.
Yeah, I ain't mad at that. I mean, it's an okay song. Like I dig it, but I looked it up because I was like, that can't be the same song. No, that's the same song.
Yeah, full album released October last year. First single, Worst Way, released in February this year, and then the song in July.
Yeah.
And even in July, I mean, that still took several months to matriculate to the top 40. So, yeah, just a very late bloomer all the way around.
Sometimes the burn is real slow, like...
The song was so tropey, man. I just couldn't get into it. As much as I do enjoy Ella Langley's voice and Riley Green's voice was fine, like... And when I give into that vice and pour another over ice, like, guys, we can do better. I promise we can do better.
Like I said, we're not blazing new trails here.
I did like the line, I almost quit drinking for a while. I quit thinking about you. Like that's a decent line. Even with the trope, that's not bad.
Yeah. I'll give you that. I'll give them that one. They get one.
Everybody gets one.
Everybody gets one. Spider-Man when you need him. I guess we gotta go all the way to the I guess not the tippy top, but the bitty bottom.
Yeah, I mean it's not really that bottom. There's no good way to get into my intro, but in saying that that this means that there really wasn't at least one song that I would actively recommend avoiding. Although at the same time, the beat is interesting enough that it's probably redeemable. That lack of honor I would give to Gunna featuring Burna Boy and WGFT. We get fucked tonight. And remember that phrase, because you are going to hear it quite a bit over 3 minutes. Which, I don't know, might be the thing that torpedoes the song for me. Which is disappointing, because the beat is damn good. And it sets this, like, midnight at the jazz club mood, almost. But the verses don't really live up to it. The hook really kind of betrays it. The inclusion of Burna Boy seems to be divisive amongst fans, but I think he's a solid collaborator, but just didn't get enough time here. His verse is way too short, which is all the quick way to say that I actually wanted more from this song, and the disappointing output sent it in the shortfall to the bottom this month.
Sorry, I was counting. I'm sorry. Go. You go ahead.
you counting?
No.
Because I needed to know, like, how many times were these two guys getting fucked tonight, at least lyrically? 46.
46.
Like,
In
I
3
get
minutes.
that's, yeah. Like, if that's half of your song, then it's not a great song.
I would go so far as to say, I'm reading the lyrics to it, and I'd go so far as to say I hate it, having never heard it.
Same. Hard same. Yeah. It's not inventive. It's crass, but not even like creatively crass. It's just yeah. It just is not good. Oh, yeah. Like how I guess I do want to know before you get into your number one, like what the gap was in between like number one and because you do like a point ranking or point based system for your rankings.
Oh yeah, I try to do 1 to 100. 12.
Wow, that's hardly anything.
No, that's the thing. So like even the stuff that is admittedly annoying wasn't terrible,
but the stuff that was good wasn't spectacular either.
Again, it's in that pretty good range. A pretty good range.
Yes.
If this is a re-rack, it'd make it in the top 30.
Okay.
That level of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a good reference point to use.
Foreshadowing.
Well, you hit us with the bottom part of that 12-point spectrum. What was at the top part of that 12-point spectrum at your number one?
Sure. Because at the top of the pile is a song that absolutely blindsided me with how well I liked it. I was kind of impressed 2 months ago by the first single from Olivia Dean, but she has more than won me over with So Easy to Fall in Love. And again, we have another track that uses the jazz vibes to set its tone, but this way more so. My first thought was that, hey, there's a lot of Norah Jones in this song. Not a bad thing at all. Dean's warm and velvety voice wraps itself around the horns and the piano and ties them up all into this big, beautiful bossa nova bow. And I think that, once again, it is the vocal performance that puts this one on a different level. It almost feels like a track that you would have heard while walking through the Palm Springs airport in 1961. And I can see many just pushing it into that like middle of the road mold and dismissing it. But that ignores all the layers working their way through the song. It is light and breezy and airy and cozy, while also being one of the most self-confident songs that you've probably heard in a while. Dean herself has called it, quote, just a pat on the back when you're going out the door on your first date. A reminder that you're easy to fall in love with and anyone would be lucky to start a relationship with you. And the vibe matches that message to a T. But you don't have to be on the precipice of a new love to truly enjoy this one. You can just do what I can't and land the plane and lose yourself in the warm, gentle ocean of Dean's voice.
You nailed it lyrically. Like, I think the one lyric that jumps out at me is where she says, I could be fresh air, might be the girl of your dreams. Like, that's the song to a T.
Right. That's exactly it.
Dream.
Like, the subject of the song knows what they're about, and Olivia herself knows what, like, vocally, I think it's such an interesting case because she doesn't have, like, it's not the strongest, best, most polished voice in the entire world or whatever. Like, it doesn't need to be. Like, she understands so well how to use her voice in the most effective ways to make good sounding music.
Right.
And that's not something that even people that I would say objectively have great voices can consistently do. I think that's a skill in and of itself. I think it's a difficult skill, and I don't think it's one you can just, at least learn to the extent that she has. I feel like she's mastered it by now.
Absolutely. Like you said, putting yourself in the spot where all the positives of of your voice shine through without any of those shortcomings being blatantly noticeable.
Exactly.
Not that I'm saying that she has a bunch of shortcomings. I don't think so, honestly. Like I said, I agree with you. I'm sure there are other better vocalists, but when you find what you can do well and you do it that well, these are the results.
And people are noticing.
Yeah.
I believe she's up for Best New Artist Grammy, if memory serves, for next year.
I believe you're right.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that we're at a point where that is not a death knell for your career to be considered a best new artist anymore.
Yeah, seriously.
That
was kind of rough for a bit.
Like akin to the Madden curse.
Seriously. Yeah, I mean, you got Somber, who has just been lighting up the airwaves over the last half year. You have Alex Warren for some reason, and a bunch of people who are actually talented musical artists too. So it's a hell of a group. I'm sorry, Alex Warren is fine. Like that might be my Peter Cetera beef is Alex Warren.
There we go.
Like, Ordinary is such a well-described song. I can't stand it.
And just for the one person, if I may do the inside joke, because you giving that away just did the and else no.
I don't think I was the person. Someone got it. That's all that matters.
I was hoping you would, but okay, it works.
Oh, awkward. Super awkward moment. We're going to have to figure out what I missed after the show. Because I have no idea. Oh, gosh. Listeners, when I find out, we'll let you know. And we'll let you know in all the usual ways. At Fairly Kickass on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and TikTok. fairlykickass.com. fairlykickass@gmail.com. Email me and ask me what it was. And if I know, I'll respond. I'll do it. Fairly Kick-Ass. Search for us where you get all of your podcasts. Wherever you get those podcasts, we are going to be there. As we always say, if we're not, let us know, and we will get to where you want us to be. We have been having a really good streak on YouTube Music lately where they're not fucking us over and not posting our shit for no apparent reason. So that's been great. Every other provider has been extremely solid though. So yeah, if you're on YouTube Music and you notice something's missing, that one is probably because YouTube Music kind of sucks. I hope they're not listening. But Apple Music, iHeartMedia, they are. They have representatives. We know how that goes. Yeah, come check us out. Check out all of our previous episodes, and let us know what you think. And with that, boys, we end our music reviews for the year of 2025.
Ooh.
Because as we have discussed, we are not reviewing shit in December. Not doing it.
Right.
Not our last episode of the
Probably
year.
have a year.
We do have some.
Yeah, you're not that lucky. We still have 4 more episodes this year. Good luck.
Yeah, Godspeed to all of you.
Or as I was told me when I started a certain career, strap in, fuckface.